John Rutledge by Brandon and Jake. John Rutledge, born September 17, 1739, was the second Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Rutledge was the eldest child in a large family in Charleston, South Carolina. His father was Scots-Irish immigrant John Rutledge Sr., the physician. His mother, South Carolina-born Sarah, born September 18, 1724, was of English descent. John's early education was provided by his father until his later death. The rest of Rutledge's primary education was provided by an Anglican priest. John took an early interest in law and often played lawyer with his brothers and sisters. When he was 17 years old, Rutledge began to read law under a man named James Parsons. 2 years later, Rutledge sailed to England to further his studies at London's Middle Temple. In the course of his studies, he won several cases in English courts. After finishing his studies, Rutledge returned to Charleston to begin his legal career. At the time, many new lawyers barely scraped together enough business to earn their livings. Most new lawyers could only hope that they would win well-known cases to ensure their success. However, he emerged almost immediately as one of the most prominent lawyers in Charleston, and his services were in high demand. With his successful legal career, he was able to build on his mother's fortune. On May 1, 1763, Rutledge married Elizabeth Grimke. He was very devoted to his wife, and him and her got busy and had 10 children. But Elizabeth's death on July 6, 1792, was a major cause of the illness that affected Rutledge in his later years. A lawyer and a judge, Rutledge was a delegate to the Stamp Act Congress and to the Continental Congress. He was president and then governor of South Carolina during the American Revolution, and a delegate to the Constitutional Convention of 1787. He also was an Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. He was also the elder brother of Edward Rutledge, a signatory of the Declaration of Independence. He then died on July 23, 1800, at the age of 61.
Richard Nixon was a smart, well-educated president, just like the rest. But this scandal has made Nixon the only president to ever resign from presidency. Nixon was part of Congress, leading him to be elected in 1968. He was then re-elected in 1972. A few years later, his presidency came to an end due to this court case, the Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal regarding Richard Nixon occurred in the 1970s. The Democratic National Committee headquarters was located at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. Nixon tried to cover up his administration using dirty tricks like bugging the offices of his opponents, like listening in on phone calls or hearing private conversations. The Nixon administration was found to abuse power. 69 people were indicted and 48 were guilty. 5 young men broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters on June 17, 1972. Cash was found to be taken, and the re-election committee for Nixon was caught using a slush fund. An investigation by the Senate Water Committee discovered Nixon had tape recording systems in his office that were used to record many conversations. There were many court battles. The Supreme Court ruled that President Nixon had to release the tapes to investigators, and he finally complied. What the recording showed was that Nixon was trying to cover up activities that happened after the break-in in the Watergate Hotel, and he wanted to use the federal officials to make the investigation become non-existent. The House of Representatives and the Senate were sure to impeach Nixon, but Nixon took it upon his own power to resign from his presidency on August 9, 1974.